You're listening to the Digital Deep Dive, where we tackle the newest trends, strategies, and pain points shaping growth across the digital landscape. From Amazon and D2C to international expansion, join our host and e-commerce leaders across multiple industries for in-depth discussions on how to maximize your brands in the digital arena. Now, here's your host, Aaron Conant.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Digital Deep Dive podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Conant, and today we're going to dive into a conversation on agentic commerce with two of my favorite people. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves because I love it when people do that, but it's going to be an awesome conversation. And what we're going to dive into is a lot of conversation around agentic commerce, a lot. It's popping up everywhere, and everybody's like, great, what do I do? Like, how do I define this? How do I explain it internally to my organization as a whole? Everybody's saying, what are we doing on it? And this, I think, is going to be a great opportunity. I was at Max and the Azoma team were in New York giving an agentic commerce conference. Lauren from Digital Shelf Institute was there as they were releasing these 5 Cs. And I was like, that's literally it. We should put it on a podcast. And they said, yes. So here we are, everybody. Lauren, you want to jump in, give a brief intro on yourself and the DSI, and then kick it to Max, and then we'll jump into the 5 Cs.
Well, the answer to your question about what is agentic commerce is you should listen to this podcast. So you're in the right place. But thanks for having me, Aaron. Lauren Livak Gilbert. I lead the Digital Shelf Institute. So community of brands and retailers in the e-commerce space. We just hit over 11,000 members, which is super exciting. And I have to give Aaron a massive shout out because the only reason I know Max is because of you. So it has created an awesome collaboration with the Azoma team, and we've come out with some really great research. So excited to chat about it. Max, you're up.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Max. I'm the founder and CEO of Azoma. And yeah, super great to be here with two of my favorite people who I've known for years and years and years now. And it's been really exciting to collaborate with both of you individually and then together in the event that we put on in New York, and especially Lauren, I guess, no offense, Aaron, on this research that we did with the Digital Shelf Institute, and maybe we'll do some more research in the future, Aaron. But yeah, I think it's been so exciting to see. We drop research all the time, and I know you do that as well, Lauren, and just how much this one has really caught the imagination and attention of people, because it's such a simple framework for such a complex subject that is really spanning many different parts of organizations and is a C-level, pardon the pun, a C-level issue or even a board level issue in many of the companies that we all work closely with.
Yeah. I just totally agree with you, Max, because Lauren is awesome, and just seeing her on stage, awesome. Like energy level, next level.
Appreciate you both.
So let's jump into it. And again, everybody, what caught my attention here, Max, you said it, is being able to put this, it's not simple, but simplify the framework and the thought around what it is and how can we get this into bite-sized portions that not only people know what they can execute on, but how they can explain it to an executive team of what it is while they're being asked on a weekly basis, what are you doing? I'm hearing about agentic commerce. What am I going to do? So who wants to tackle and run through the 5 Cs? If you want to riff them off first, I think that would be great. And then we tackle them one at a time, however long that takes.
Cool. All right. I can do it if you want, Max. You want me to hit on the 5? Okay. All right. So, and also, Aaron, I know you'll have like links and stuff, but for anyone who like wants to dive into this, there's a massive research report that goes into this, and there's a lot of details. This is our second report also, so check out both the Azoma and Digital Shelf Institute reports. But okay.
And really quick, for everybody on that, everybody, this will show up in my Digital Deep Dive newsletter on LinkedIn, a recap of the whole conversation, plus as many links as we want to put in there. So everybody, there'll be a recap of all of this with all those links. But of course, you can hit Lauren and Max up on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. Chat with us. We love chatting with people. Okay, so the 5 Cs. Are you ready? Here we go. The first one, completeness. So think about like structured product data, making sure that you have all the right data for your product on your PDP and all the places that it shows up. Context, super important. Kind of a new concept when you're thinking about agentic commerce. You need to have the right answers to the questions that your shoppers are asking. Citations, Max knows this is one of my favorites. So citations equal trust. How are you being cited? Where are the places that you're being cited from a brand and a product perspective? Correctness? Is the content that's actually out there about your brand correct? Surprisingly, the answer is not always yes. And then last but not least, to kind of tie it in a nice little bow, is customer acquisition. So how is all of this work around AEO, GEO, agentic commerce actually driving conversion and actually advancing your overall business? So that's a nice little flywheel that ties it all together. Did I miss anything, Max?
No, and I think it sounds so simple, but it is such a powerful framework for folks to conceptualize and work off. And yeah, maybe I'll just jump into the first one and talk a bit about completeness. So what we've as we outlined in the paper, completeness will mean different things in different shopping agents. So if we're talking about Amazon, we're talking about flat files, backend attributes, browse nodes, all of that kind of stuff that will give the AI context in kind of scanning the category, the billions and billions of SKUs in a category and making a recommendation decision. When we talk about Gemini, we're talking about UCP, AP2, GMC, a bunch of acronyms, but Google Merchant Center, Universal Commerce Protocol, all these different places that you can put your product data. Essentially, ChatGPT is now running off the same infrastructure as Gemini, although they have their own ACP. Walmart has a slightly different one, but it's kind of more similar to Amazon. And I often hear one of the biggest things that I hear is, oh, we want SEO, we need to fix SEO, but then we need to do GEO, and like these are two separate things. And in my mind, especially when I'm talking to senior leadership at companies, it's one framework, and like SEO is part of completeness. So yes, of course, keywords are still important. If we're talking about ChatGPT, schema is still important for your website, metadata is still important. All of this comes in my mind under completeness. And it's basically saying, have you got your data and attributes in order, however that may be? SEO, flat files, the new protocols that are emerging, all of that stuff. And that's one team or one part of agentic commerce and comes under the completeness umbrella.
It's unique to...
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just going to kind of double click on the point that Max made there around completeness and it being a part of your overall strategy. So if you're a brand listening to this, you probably have like a certain framework for how to measure your digital shelf success. I've heard of scanner, cars. There's all kinds of abbreviations for what it looks like. Like this completeness, the C in that digital shelf maturity and framework, this matters, and you need to include it in addition to all the work you're doing around the digital shelf. So I just think that's a really important point that Max said. It's not, hey, here's just this random thing sitting over on the side. It's like, no, you need to think about completeness holistically for the digital shelf and the agentic shelf.
How many people are getting that right today? Because I think it's very few. I think there's a lot of people that poured into Amazon, and that might be the closest. And we can get into, are you answering the questions? So first, do the people have everything in the right spot? And then I guess, then is it accurate, which we'll get to as well. But how many people are doing it right today?
I think, we just did a webinar with our good friend Swag Out at Mars. Not actually, that was not a review with Southside, but sorry, I get a little bit confused.
Okay.
We just did a webinar with,
and we did a webinar with Swag Out too.
We've done exactly. That's why I was a bit confused. But in Swag Out, who I respect highly, talks about the brilliant basics. I think this is quite a familiar term at Mars, and I think in many ways, like completeness to me means the brilliant basics. It means getting the SEO right. There's a few new places that you need to think about your attributes when we're moving to the agentic world, as I mentioned. But I think of the 5 C's, I think most people are at a good place, and it's a bit like the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? The more expert you are, or the less you know, the more confident you are, and the more expert you are, the less you think you know. And I think this is certainly the case with many of the brands that we work with, which actually they're pretty good on this. They've been doing it for a while. Maybe there's a few more spaces that they need to think about their data being populated, but broadly, like it's the basics, it's the foundation layer.
So you go and you can take a look, and people are they can feel pretty good. At least step one is good, right? It's yeah, it's like these old studies with like like the loyalty rewards cards, right? If it's blank, it takes them a long time to get it filled out. But if there's the first 3 punch, so if there's 10 blanks, it's going to take them a long time to get through. But if there's 13 and the first 3 are punched, people feel good about it and they're off to the races and they fill it out actually faster. Totally crazy. So,
but that's a good point, Aaron. Like the whole agentic commerce, AEO, GEO world that we're all talking about, it's slight tweaks. It's not like a blow everything up and start over, right? Like a lot of I like to say the foundation of the agentic shelf is the digital shelf. Like everything that you've been doing for the past 30 years in e-commerce still matters and is setting you up for success. So that's why your punch card should have like 10 holes in it and you got to add another 4.
Yeah.
I would, just for the interest of to make it a little bit more spicy, I think that it diverges in the other C's a little bit more when we talk about context, citations, and correctness. I think those are kind of new, but definitely this one is just building on. I agree. It's the foundations. It's the basics.
Let's go.
Oh, context. This one is one of my favorites. So Max, I think I'll take this one if you're cool with it. Context and citations are my 2 favorites. So context. This is one of my favorite examples and I use it like a lot. So people have probably already heard this. I used it on stage at the Agentic Decoded event. So context is providing additional information about your product that someone might be searching for. So the big difference between like an SEO versus an AEO is with SEO, you use like 2 to 5 words. With AEO, you're using like 13 to 15 words because you're writing out a sentence and you're asking a question. So I use this example of buying a table. I just bought a house and we're furnishing it and I needed to buy a new dining room table. And so I was looking at all these tables and I was talking to someone who works at a furniture company and they're like, oh, you live in Massachusetts, you need kiln dried wood. And I said, I need, And they were like, oh, well, you need kiln dried wood because that means that it holds up to moisture better. And that's better for people who live in moist environments. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't even know what that was. And I had read it as an attribute on the PDP, but I just ignored it. The context is if you live in a moist environment, kiln dried wood is better and lasts longer. That's the definition of context. How are you providing additional information about everything that's already on the PDP and all the details about your product? So someone searching for it is actually going to be provided that product. My husband is running an ultra this weekend. That's a 62-mile race. Yes, I know that's crazy. I had to search for a specific chair that I needed for the ultra. So I went to Sparky and I typed in, what is the best chair to use for an ultra race in Vermont and for someone who's crewing it? And it came back with recommendations that were lightweight, easy to carry, travel case, because it had additional context included on the PDP. So context is really, really important for LLMs because they're taking all of this information in and then providing your product back to you. So you need to include that in your bullets. You need to include that in your enhanced content, in your FAQs, on your blog, on your brand.com, wherever you can provide additional context that's feeding the machine to then recommend your product.
How does somebody find out what those are, though? What comes to mind for me is...
Well, I know a good way, Aaron.
Yeah.
You can use Azoma.
Well, how does that... Well, I mean, I do want to dive in that little bit. Like, how does it work? Because I think it's things that would be like a deck of cards. I'm going to just pick out something, right? Nobody would ever put great stocking stuffer, right? But it is
a great stocking stuffer.
It's a great stocking stuffer. Nobody puts that in there. If you're selling a deck of cards, nobody's putting that in the past. Nobody's put that in there. And yet now what you're saying to me is I got to start planning for other things. My example is, my wife was looking for a new coffee maker and she wants one that has a modern farmhouse feel. You would never search on that. You never search on that 2 years ago.
And now
I
can share a rough and ready and free way that anyone listening can do this. And I actually, speaking to some incoming customers, I know that people are doing this manually, which gives me great pleasure. There's something that we automate. But basically, if you go on Amazon or you go on Walmart, you will see the suggested prompts that Rufus or Alexa for Shopping Now or Sparky has on that SKU. So you can kind of see manually what are the top questions that people are asking, and that it kind of summarizes the questions and answers that are on the detail page. And then you can also look at your keywords and like see how that lines up. And that basically gives you the content. You just want to be answering questions that shoppers are asking, essentially in context. So I know that sometimes when I kind of joining the new business schools, I know people are doing this manually out there, and obviously at Azoma, we're collecting this data across the entire category, across all of the SKUs on Amazon or Walmart, so you can really see that data in a much more efficient way. But you can do this for free now if folks are interested in kind of ensuring that they're getting the right context on their listing.
The other thing I would say is like, go ask Gemini, ChatGPT, like go ask, like, what are people talking about in this product category? Like, if you want to just like dabble and understand, that's the best place to start. I agree with Max, like go to your Amazon PDP, go to Sparky, see all those questions, but also like have a conversation with an LLM, right? And just get an understanding of where you need to start. But this comes back to the fact that you need to know your consumer so well and at a deeper level than traditional, like I'm air quoting, personas you may have mapped previously, because there's also an interconnectivity here. If you're buying a deck of cards, maybe you also need other stocking stuffers. What are other recommendations that are cross category that you could include that you maybe never would have paired together?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's awesome. I think what'll happen is people will go out and do it. And if I have under 20 SKUs, I can do it on my own pretty easily. And after that, I need a tool, right? I'm going to have something. I've got 100.
I would argue if you want to do it well, you want to look across the entire category and see what people are asking, not just on your SKU, but all the competitive SKUs. But yeah, you can do this pretty easily for free, in a lightweight way. Lauren, I know the next one is your favorite.
Oh, yes.
And context is a so
yes.
You can take that one, and the last two are actually my two favorites. So we can split it that way. Yeah,
perfect. Okay, so citations. So when let's say you're on a ChatGPT and you're searching something, and then you get a result back, and there's that little link that shows where it came from. That's considered a citation. Like all of the places that LLMs are citing, they're pulling all of this information from. Now, to Max's point before, this is new when we're thinking about how to optimize for the agentic shelf. Citations weren't really a big thing before, and it includes a lot more sources that brands need to think about. So citations can be anything from a PDP, but they can also be your brand.com, which is a massive opportunity because you own that. So definitely leverage it. It can be Reddit. It can be blogs. It can be news articles. There's so many different places that these citations are coming from. In the report, one of my favorite graphs is actually data from Azoma that showcases by LLM where the most citations are coming from. So is it paid media? Is it organic? Is it PDP? Like, where is it coming from? So definitely check that. But that's also something that you should test out for your category. Where are the citations coming from? Are they coming from a recipe website? Are they coming from Reddit? Are they coming from the New York Times? I don't know. I'm making it up. But those citations equal trust. So you want to be in the places that the LM is citing so that your product is being recommended. So that requires you to go talk to your PR and corporate comms team that you may have never talked to before because they do a lot of work from a citation perspective externally. So who do they have relationships with? How can you leverage that? So it just really kind of expands what you need to think about from a content perspective.
I want to just dig in on that a little bit because right now, brands I'm talking to, they feel really good about the content where they're at on Amazon and not always optimized for an Alexa for shopping or a Walmart for Sparky, but they've got content there and that these LLMs, they're going to like a retailer.com first and then a brand.com second. And then I have a lot of Reddit showing up a lot. And I'm thinking right now, Reddit is one of those you absolutely cannot ignore. I've had too many examples. I'll share a really quick short one just for people. Large sporting good brand has a challenger that normally should have 1% market share. And they jump to 1.5 to 2. And they're trying to figure out where is it coming from? Like they can monitor spend across the different platforms, and their deep dive revealed that the competition had joined almost every Reddit feed that discussed their brand. It had a massive following, and on all of those started joining the community, and then was at some point in time able to jump in as an authority and start doing ads. And so I'm kind of like, Max, I'll kick it over to you from a Reddit standpoint, but that like this moment that it's like ignoring like the brands that ignored Google keyword stuffing back in 2006. And we had these random things that all of a sudden websites take off and you're like, how? They figured out the keyword piece. And now Reddit seems to be playing in that space right now.
Yeah. I would say it's been really interesting talking to enterprise customers. We've been working with some of the world's largest brands for 3 years, and they used to not want to touch Reddit, and now basically all of them are employing our Reddit strategies and doing it. And I think it's not. I don't want to take all the credit for it. I think that the industry is learning that Reddit is really important, but obviously it's not just Reddit. It's affiliate sites on Alexa for shopping. It's your brand.com for Sparky. It's earned media, as Lauren was saying, in ChatGPT and Gemini. Not in our industry. People talk about LinkedIn, which is, important. But, when you're talking about commerce and commerce prompts, like it's never coming from LinkedIn. I can tell you like 0.001% of citations are LinkedIn. If for commerce, YouTube is important in Gemini and ChatGPT. So it is really interesting to see how this shift has happened. I think in the last 3 or 4 months, we've definitely had customers lean a lot stronger into Reddit, and before, we'd be saying, we'd be generating suggestions to them, and they wouldn't really want to touch it. But now it's kind of it is, as you say, you have to play there, or you're going to lose to your competitors.
But you also have to be very careful with Reddit, and I just want to preface that it's not something like I don't even know what to compare it to. Like you can't treat it like any other platform because it is a community platform and people are very, very clear about like how they want to use Reddit. So you have to be very transparent if you are a brand coming on Reddit and be very, very clear and try not to game the system or fool people or be like, oh yeah, I'm just here personally, not from the brand. Like just take caution with Reddit.
100%. You have to play by the rules, and yes. I think you either, this means speaking as a brand in a like a branded subreddit, and many of our customers will have that because they're global brands and they have loyal followings, and therefore they are welcome in their own subreddits that fans may have set up for them, right? Of course, the brand is welcome. And then for the challenger brands, you can do stuff like saying, full disclosure, I work at X, but we, and then answer a question in a popular discussion forum that is talking about something that is very relevant. So I don't know if you're a pharmaceuticals company and people discussing like aspirin or whatever, like something where you actually can add value in a nice way, and you can say, full disclosure, I work here at X, but this is what our recommendation would be. So typically, we've not seen enterprise customers go for that. But when we look at the challenger brands, they definitely want to kind of play in that space. And, if you're you want to be part of the conversation as a challenger brand. And as long as you kind of do one of those two strategies, I think you're in a good place for Reddit. And if you're doing something dodgy, I think, no black hat strategy is ever recommended in my mind. Like these models are super intelligent and they'll figure it out, and it won't.
They will find you.
They'll find you, and when they do,
yeah.
But that goes into correctness. That goes perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, so correctness, I think, is one of my favorites because it's a discussion. I think all of these are kind of sequential and build on top of each other, as we discussed. Like completeness is like the brilliant basics, as some would say, like SEO, whatever, right? Correctness is that kind of what happens next, and it's a kind of next the conversation once you've done all this stuff. Brands will come and say, well, hang on a second, we're being misrepresented on ChatGPT, or Rufus is not speaking about us in the right tone of voice, or it's got some hallucination. And it becomes, as you get further into this and you improve your AI visibility, it becomes a big issue of your brand not being recommended as you wish it would be. And this becomes a really important factor, and it's something that we're really looking into, like surfacing the specific Reddit forums or competitor listicles or whatever it will be that maybe cause, behind these hallucinations. And I think this is going to, as you get more confident on the completeness of context and the citations, it then becomes the next conversation topic in my experience. So it's definitely an important one, and it's a completely unique one to agentic commerce, because this was not an issue. Well, you could argue that buy box issues and you'd have contribution score issues on Amazon where like a 3P seller may be saying something wrong, but so maybe it was an issue back in the day, but is definitely enhanced in this world of LLMs.
One of my favorite examples is I was working with a brand and they said that an influencer, not one that they worked with, was saying something incorrect about their product. And it was like causing all of this halo effect on the internet around like blogs and things that were written. And they went on their brand.com. They specifically used the language to basically show that the influencer was incorrect and all this information was wrong with like scientific data and claims. And within 5 days, the LLMs were surfacing their brand.com versus the influencer content. So there is an impact that you really can drive here. But one, to Max's point, you need to monitor it. So you need to know that it's happening. And then two, you have a lot of control as a brand, especially if you're like a large CPG brand that has a lot of historic brand voice and just a lot of historic content that talks about your brand. You can use your own channels to be able to support that.
I think we're at a point now that for large brands, you have to have a tool in place that's doing this and helping you out. You have to. It's the only way you can ensure that you're still going to stay there. Because like the example you're giving, Lauren, like these LLMs want to go to a trusted source first, and they put the brand.com above a Reddit or a blog or these affiliates. Like they put it above that, and rightfully so. The issue is like it's going there looking for an answer to a question, and if it can't find it, it'll
go somewhere else.
And it doesn't do it over the course of like 30 seconds. It does it instantaneously, right? Like it's not going to pause. It's going to then immediately go someplace. And if you're not there on whatever platform that is, retailer, brand.com, or a Reddit or whatever, actively putting in the correct information, like it's going to be a disaster. Because right now these LLMs are training. They're training.
Yeah. It's such a good point, Aaron. And some of the research I released in this paper, the last paper, I can't remember which one. We talked about the amount of sources that ChatGPT goes on average to, and it's like query fan out when answering a question. And for commerce queries, ChatGPT goes to an average of 15 sources. So you're totally right. It will do on average 10 kind of query fan out. So if you put in what's the best running shoe, and it knows you're a man in your 30s, it will kind of do a sub query. What is the best running shoe for men? What is the best running shoe for men in their 30s? And it will run these 10 sub queries. It will go out on average. It goes to 15 sources. And then it will summarize the response before it gives to the user. And it does it all in, 2-3 seconds. So you're totally right. If you're not there and it's got some YouTube review about how someone broke their neck because they use this running shoe, it will use that. And as Lauren says, if you take action to correct this, it will, it will see the different fan out query. It will fact check it. It'll be like, yes, we take the kind of, I don't know if we put out a press release or whatever it would be over like some random Redditor or YouTuber, and we're not going to show that to the customer, and you've solved your big like hallucination or misrepresentation.
Really, really, really quick, because I think I just totally learned something. So the LLM I'm using, and I use a bunch of them. It's when I do like best running shoe, it's looking at all the information it knows about me and doing.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It has memory, and it's this historical information. It's learning you, Aaron.
Oh, wow. Wow, there we go.
I mean, it makes sense, but they know it's like, Billy,
Wait, this is my favorite thing. If no one's ever done this, go to Alexa Shopping and ask it what it knows about you. It's terrifying. Be like, tell me all the things you know about me. And it'll write this large paragraph that says, I asked, and they're like, oh, well, you have a very large dog who's a really tough chewer and has allergies. And I was like, oh my God, it knows everything about you based on your purchases. And you can do the same thing for all your LLMs.
That's interesting because we all in the household, we all use just one account. right? Like,
Oh, that'll be very interesting.
it'll be very interesting. And my wife buys for her elderly mother who's
Oh
like in
my
assisted
God.
living. Like, it's going to be, I'm doing
Lord,
it seriously wrapping up here.
this has got to be a new LinkedIn trend. I've just done this for me, and it's crazy. It's amazing.
It's wild, isn't
I've
it?
got
You
my
did it with Alexa
interests.
Shopping?
It says, yeah, my interests include business and entrepreneurship reading, home fitness routines, currently planning or hosting barbecues. My product preference is natural organic food products. I mean, this is, yeah, that's
Wild.
wild. That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
we
got
can
my
start a
shopping
new LinkedIn
pattern.
That's what it's
trend.
doing. When you're searching now on Alexa or any of these, Alexa or Shopping, it's feeding all that in. And it makes sense. That's like,
This
all
has
this
got to
is
be a
making
trend.
sense.
We've got to
Yeah,
kick this off.
should we post our what does
Yeah,
Amazon
yeah.
Alexa know about me?
So it says my
Now,
shopping patterns are mid-range for technology and premium for audio and budget for others. I mean, it's got it like listed out by yeah, wow. There we go.
Wild.
You've
That's your
blown my
homework,
mind as
everybody
well.
who's listening. Go do that.
this is where I do want to get to the last one because
Yeah, take
that's
us
the
home,
one
Max.
that everybody.
Take us home.
Yeah, this is a crazy one. Is at the end of the day, everybody's like, "What is it doing for my business?" And this is it. And how do you show it? And if I'm going to do this work, what is the return? And anyways, I'll pause there because
You've got it, Aaron. Take you do it.
Me?
Yeah, you've got it.
Oh, okay. I'll take this one. At the end of the day, from brands, and this is across the board, profitability is everything. Conversion rate optimization is everything. And we're at a time now where if I go back to like when COVID hit and that first year, spend at all cost, and now every investment on every level is being scrutinized, and you have to be able to show a return. And if you can't, it's not going to be invested in. And so all of this stuff that we've talked about up until this point is going to have some cost in it: time, effort, money, headcount, a tool like an Azoma or something like that. You have to be able to show it at the end. And what does that come in? That comes in conversion. That comes in purchases and being able to show
customer
it.
acquisition, as we call it.
Yeah.
Customer acquisition being the fifth C, and conversion definitely is one measure, but you're totally right. It's incremental revenue. It's some dollar number. And I think so much of this GEO world is telling people to focus on metrics which don't matter, like share of voice. Share of voice and a selection of prompts which are totally random and AI generated and like nobody is talking about, and it's just complete bullshit. And it grinds it really winds me up, some of the stuff I hear and see on LinkedIn. But that's why, these are a compounding flywheel: completeness, context, citations, correctness, which drive customer acquisition. And as you say, Aaron, like that is a broad. That's fundamentally what we're trying to do. But what are the output metrics we're looking at? Conversion, 100%, incremental revenue, bestseller rank on Amazon. There's many different kind of metrics which are important, but ultimately we're looking to acquire net new customers, or as customers switch over to these platforms, maybe they're not net new, but we're looking to acquire customers through and drive revenue through these shopping agents.
And the one thing I'll say about measurement is I kind of equate it to, do we remember the early days of e-com when all of us were like, this is important, we know it's important, we can't measure it, but you got to do it. Like, we're kind of in that phase from a agentic commerce kind of AEO, GEO space. You can measure some of it. It's a little hard, especially if inside your organization, you do not have connected data sets. That's a really big piece here. Like, you need to be able to understand you've made this change in content and it's impacted your sales, and you can like actually look at that. So that is a big factor here, but we are very, very early on in the measurement game. So I agree with Max. And it also really bothers me when people come out and say, you can measure this, this, and this. And I'm like, can you? Because how are you actually doing that? So I just encourage brands to.
There's people who've never worked in this industry, don't understand this industry, suddenly coming and becoming the experts and trying to tell people what to do. And I mean, it's kind of on one side hilarious, and one side it's like irritating.
If I were a brand, what I would focus on is like, how can you get your like the inside of your house ready for this? Like, do you know where all of your data lives? Have you talked to your analytics team? Is it in one place? Can you connect the dots? Can you do test and learns that actually showcase if you make a change, if it impacts conversion or traffic or whatever that looks like. But just ask a lot of questions when you talk about measurement.
Yeah. Well, team, this has been absolutely awesome. Everybody listening, I encourage you to follow Max and the team at Azoma. Hit them up on LinkedIn, putting out some awesome content. Lauren at the Digital Shelf Institute, follow her on LinkedIn, but also she puts on an amazing Digital Shelf Summit. Is that what we call it? The DS?
Yeah, Digital Shelf Summit. It's coming up in London.
Everybody I talk to loves it. So it's amazing. The feedback, people absolutely love it. So well done. And I'll be there next year. That's where I have to make sure I block that off. No dinners. Any other part of the country, I want to be at DSS.
You're coming to Orlando, April 26th and 28th.
That's next year, Orlando?
Yeah, 27th. So there's Digital Shelf Summit London, which is October 7th, and that's coming up. But if you want to do the big one in the US, it is April 26th.
That's a little bit expensive to our European London, but don't worry about London. It's all about
I love London. I love London, but I didn't know if Aaron was going to travel to London.
I'll be in Florida. I've never been to Florida, so I'm really excited to come and see.
You got to stop by Disney World too. So Max, Lauren, you guys are absolute rock stars. I really appreciate all you guys do for the network. With that, everybody, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Digital Deep Dive. Thanks, everybody, for listening in.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.